game number 2. So when you take a glance back at this series, yes, I'm not going to praise the Celtics for wrapping this up in 5. I'm not going to say, okay, I view the Celtics differently. But this is a Celtics team, when you see the current state of the Eastern Conference, would be an absolute joke if they don't find a way to get to the NBA Finals. And I know it is championship or bust. I know the Celtics have to raise the Larry O'Brien trophy this season, and anything short of that would be an epic failure, and it would be a disappointment. But you look at the Eastern Conference, it really doesn't start for the Celtics either until they face an elimination game inside the East, or quite frankly, their postseason doesn't really start until you get to the NBA Finals. And you look at their next potential opponent, with Cleveland being up 3-2 up against the Magic, which, by the way, has anyone said a word about the Cleveland Magic series? I haven't heard a single person utter a single word about the Cavs or the Magic, unless it's been, has anyone talked about that series? Oh, that series is the NBA TV series. Oh, they have an early start time in that. No one is talking about the outcome of that series, and it's happened to be a good series where the Cavs lead 3-2, and you have a young, up-and-coming Magic team, and then there's a Cavs team that you think they just sort of reach their apex. Will there always be a playoff team? But you're not going to look at them as a serious threat to do damage in the postseason. So, yes, Kristaps Porzingis goes down with the injury for the Boston Celtics. But with that being said, when you take a look at their next opponent, I don't think they need to play Kristaps Porzingis up against the Cavs or the Magic to secure a victory. And maybe at most that series for the Celtics up against either Orlando or Cleveland would go to 6 games. I would be very surprised if that series, whenever Boston finds out who their opponent will be, would be going to a 7-game series. And then you look at the other part of the Eastern Conference bracket. We'll see if the Pacers can eliminate Milwaukee. It is unexpected tonight and doubtful that you're going to see a return of Giannis Antetokounmpo or Damian Lillard. But as you know with the NBA, even if someone is listed as doubtful, sometimes there are surprises that do occur. And I don't want to take anything away from either of those teams. I think the Bucks are more dangerous than the Pacers, because if they do get through, you're going to have what we think is the pending return of a Giannis Antetokounmpo and of a Damian Lillard as well. I know the Pacers have Siakam. I know they have Halliburton, and the Pacers are a damn good team. But really, I don't view the Pacers as a threat to take down the Boston Celtics in a 7-game series. Boston, they could have a chance to lose up against the Bucks, but I don't think the Bucks are going to get through. I really do believe the Pacers, they understand the moment. All right, you allow Milwaukee to win Game 5. I would be very surprised if Indiana on their home court tonight, probably without having to go up against Giannis or Dame Lillard, if they drop this game. Because if you then go back to Milwaukee for a Game 7, man, all the pressure shifts right to you, because you were the team that was playing with a big lead, a 3-1 lead in this series, and then it's do or die. And who knows, maybe Dame, maybe Giannis plays in a Game 7, and maybe you get one of them. You don't even need both. If you get one of them with that building in Milwaukee, that would be very tough for the Pacers to go in and secure a victory. And then you look at the Knicks and the Sixers. It's like, I do think the Sixers win tonight, and I do believe that the Sixers force a Game 7. I'm not going to sit here, though, and say that's a stone-cold lock, and that I would be shocked if we're sitting here tomorrow where the Knicks wrap up this series, because the Sixers, you could trust Tyrese Maxey, but I can't trust Joel Embiid, even though he's been an MVP in this league just as recent as last year, in a big spot to extend the series or to show up and prove his worth. And I get it, the Knicks are a gritty team with Jalen Brunson, with Josh Hart, with Dante DiVincenzo, with Mitchell Robinson. Now you have Bogdanovich, who's going to be out for the season. But I'm looking around up and down this Eastern Conference. There's a reason. I know we could sometimes say, and a lot of times I do echo this sentiment, that when you take a glance at the Eastern Conference, there's a lot of teams, not only in the East, but in the NBA, where they don't take the regular season serious. And for the Celtics, they did take the regular season serious. So you always try, when you're looking at the dominance that they had, where they were the number one team in the East by 14, 15, 16 games, well, how much of a product is that because the Celtics are really damn great? And how many of these teams weren't trying as hard in the Eastern Conference? And you look at the East this year, you can't really make that argument. You know, maybe you could make it for Miami, but you can't make it for Cleveland. You can't make it for the Magic. You can't make it for the Bucks. You can't make it for the Pacers. You can't make it for the Knicks. You know, the Sixers, it's not because they weren't trying in the regular season. It was because Joel Embiid got hurt. Like, before Joel Embiid got hurt, they were a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. So Boston was that much better than all these other teams in the Eastern Conference. And heading into the postseason, I don't think anyone expected Philadelphia to get to the finals. People lost their love for the Bucks because of Doc Rivers. And then you have the injuries to Dame and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And Miami's always that team that you say, oh, you don't want to play, and they'll be a tough out. But once Jimmy Butler goes down with the injury, outside of what they did in Game 2, no one really feared, and no one really sparked fear in the eyes of the Boston Celtics. Like, none of those teams the Celtics should fear going into a 7-game series. But just dominating this Eastern Conference and getting to an NBA Finals is not going to elicit praise, nor should it. Because we've seen this Boston team with this core go on deep runs, get to Eastern Conference Finals sooner than expected, get to an NBA Finals. We've seen them get to the championship round, but we haven't seen this core together win the 4 games and the last 4 games that they need to win to raise another banner, to hoist that Larry O'Brien trophy. And I sit here and ask myself this season, even with the Celtics, where I don't want to say they have a bye to the NBA Finals, but they have a pretty easy road to the NBA Finals. And even with how people doubt Boston, it would be a shock if the Celtics aren't the Eastern Conference representative in the NBA Finals. But just because I think that doesn't mean I expect them to win a championship. Like, I look at the Western Conference. You listen to this show, you know me. Denver, with Jokic and Murray, they are my pick to win it all. I don't care if people go, oh, that's the easy pick. Oh, that's chalk, even though they're the 2 seed in the Western Conference. You watch ball, you watch the NBA, you understand it. Denver should win the championship again. Doesn't mean they will, but they should. But in this first round, you saw a Thunder team sweep the Pelicans, and I know there was no Zion Williamson, but still, they took care of business as quick as possible. That is what a great team or a very good team does. You then look at the Dallas Mavericks, who dominated the Clippers in Game 5. And just when you think, by the way, James Harden showing up, he goes missing. But that Mavericks team with Kyrie and Luka in a league of dynamic duos, they got a shot to go on a run here. But I really center my attention if it's not going to be Denver to Minnesota. Because if it's not Denver, I think it's because Minnesota takes them out in round 2. Like, can the Thunder get there? Yes. Can the Mavericks get there? Yes. But I do believe the toughest test for Denver in the West to get to the NBA Finals is actually the 3 seed Minnesota Timberwolves. And it's all because not only have Timberwolves fans fallen in love with Anthony Edwards, with that team and that roster and how well-rounded it is, but the entire league, if you don't have a dog in the fight, is falling in love with Anthony Edwards. And we talked about this earlier in the week, like future faces of the league, guys that are under 30 years old. You know, yeah, you have Giannis. Yeah, you have Joker. Yeah, you have Luka. Yeah, you have Victor Wembanyama. But do those guys have great personalities? No. Anthony Edwards is an assassin on the court. And then off the court, he has a great personality. He embraces the stardom. He wants to be the star. He wants to be the center of attention. So kind of the way that I look at it right now, if you said, Zach, who are your 3 picks to win the NBA championship? Denver, and I'm going in order here. Denver would be one. And if it's not Denver, then I think it's Minnesota. And if it's not Minnesota, then the Celtics took care of business and defeated either Denver or Minnesota. That's where I'm at. The Celtics will be in the NBA Finals come June. But I'm not there yet where I am trusting them, even though they just quickly dispose of the Miami Heat in 5 games. I'm not there saying that I can envision and I actually believe that they're going to find a way to raise that trophy this season. I'm trusting more of what I see right now from Denver and Minnesota, just for starters. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Where is your belief level in the Boston Celtics? All I'm willing to say is I believe the Celtics will get to the finals, but I don't believe the Celtics will win the championship this year. We'll take a timeout. When we come on back, is it time for the Miami Heat to trade Jimmy Butler? And what is the future of Paul George in LA as the Dallas Mavericks are 1 win away from eliminating the Los Angeles Clippers?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network. It is the Zach Gelb Show. And this portion of the program is brought to you by Netflix. Jerry Seinfeld stars in Unfrosted, a film that follows sworn serial rivals as they race to create a pastry that will change the face of breakfast. A tale of ambition, betrayal, and sugar. Don't you love sugar? Unfrosted is rated PG-13 and premieres May 3rd, only on Netflix. Is this a read for like a Pop-Tart? I know it's cereal, but when you call a show Unfrosted, for some reason, I think of like frosting on a Pop-Tart. I don't know why. Maybe this is an anti-Pop-Tart kind of show by Jerry Seinfeld.
I have seen a Jerry Seinfeld commercial where he is talking about Pop-Tarts.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so I think that there is a Pop-Tart reference. I'm actually looking at a picture and a video of Jerry Seinfeld sitting next to a Pop-Tart mascot. So I'm assuming there must be some sort of Pop-Tart connection here.
Now, there's nothing wrong with what we are promoting, but I will say it is a very interesting read.
I mean, and who isn't aware and intrigued by the war of cereal? Tony the Tiger versus Count Chocula? I mean, I'm in.
Count Chocula. Like, does Jerry, when he creatively writes this stuff, is he doing a little puff puff pass these days? Because this sounds like an idea that if you are dabbling into the puff puff pass world, that's how you come up with a war about like cereal with rivalries in the cereal world. That's what one would think. That there has to be something involved in there.
When you have the munchies, you want to create a war of the munchies.
Yeah, I want to create a war of myself and the pantry. That's about it, if we're being honest. But man, I thought the craziest read we've ever had here was there was once a company that sponsored, at the time, CBS Sports Radio, where it was trimming the hair down there. I won't say the name of the product, but I remember there was a big burly fella who used to host here on the network in the mornings, former wrestler, good guy, in Taz. And the first time, because I was doing the weekend overnights, so they weren't doing this sponsorship on the weekend overnights, but they were doing on the big morning show here on the network. And the first time I filled in, they were playing over the Taz read, like lawnmower sounds. You couldn't even hear anything that Taz is basically saying because that's how loud the lawnmower sound was. And it made you remember what the product was. But man, the first time I sat in and filled in for the morning show and they were playing that, and when Taz and Moose were here, Like sometimes the morning show, the lights are on, it's all bright. Now we stream it on YouTube, so you need a lot of lighting in the studio. But I'm not kidding. The first time that I sat in for Moose, when it was Taz and the Moose, it was like a morgue in here. It was like pitch black. Yeah, you would have been no surprise that there was like 3 or 4 dead bodies in here, and they had it freezing cold, which I'm good with it being freezing cold. But it was a real depressing scene. And the first, liveliness that occurred was this lawnmower that was just going off in the first live read of the program for a company where they were asking you to buy their product, which helps assisting in safely trimming some hair down there.
I've used it. I like it.
Yeah, did you?
I mean, I don't want to get
You didn't cut anything
personal,
off? You weren't like the Van Gogh of radio where you cut off down there instead of your ear?
Does my voice sound any higher than it used to? I don't know.
I'm sorry. You can't do that voice. You can't. Because after you dressed up as Mickey Mouse for Halloween and you did that voice, every time I hear that voice, I get creeped out, Samter, by you when you do that high-pitched Mickey Mouse sort of voice. I'm just wondering, do you pretend to be Mickey Mouse when you are hanging with your beautiful young daughter? Just wondering, do you do the Mickey Mouse voice for her? Because for a baby, that would be good.
No, not yet. She's starting to get into Disney, but we do a lot of Disney stuff with her.
She does probably do a lot of doo-doo.
Oh, so much doo-doo. So much.
How mortifying is that, by the way? Changing a diaper.
No, you know what? The first couple times you're like, this is not fun. After a while, you just get so used to it that it doesn't even bother you anymore. And there's wipes and hand sanitizer everywhere in the house. So no matter what happens, you're always covered.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is the splash zone real? You wearing a poncho?
You know what? It's a girl.
Hazmat suit?
No, it's a girl. So there's less of a splash zone than it was if it was a boy. Less projectile of things. But yeah. No, so far it's been okay. There's been a couple instances when she was really young, but I mean she's almost 2 now, so she's good.
Yeah, I thought there was something on your lip the other day. It looked a little dirty.
That's my beard, and that's disgusting.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Let's get to the future of Paul George. Let's get to the future of Jimmy Butler. I did see that the Miami Herald was talking about Jimmy Butler's contract, and Jimmy Butler has a year left on the contract already locked in for next year, and then a player option the year after that. And they were reporting that Jimmy Butler's going to seek a 2-year extension this offseason from the Miami Heat for 2 years, worth $113 million. As much as I like Jimmy Butler as a player, I think you would be rewarding Jimmy Butler here for his past and not how he projects to be in the future. Jimmy Butler turns 35 in September. Jimmy Butler, it's kind of funny because we talk about the Heat, and let me just see if we're in lockstep here. Stu, when I say the Miami Heat, what's the first 2 words that come to mind? Just wondering.
That would be Heat culture.
That would be correct. And if I asked that to Samter, I'm sure Samter would say Heat culture as well.
I would have said Pat Riley, but Heat culture works too.
Okay, but Pat Riley is the leader of the Heat culture. So when you think Heat culture, what do you think of? You think of a player giving max effort for the full 82-game regular season. Jimmy Butler hasn't played at least 70 games in a regular season since the 2016-2017 season with the Chicago Bulls. And in most years, he's in the 50s. The last 2 years, though, he was 64 and 60 in terms of games played. So we talk Heat culture, and we all think that's like maxing out for the entirety of the season. But Jimmy Butler, even though he has taken that Heat team twice with that group that they have, farther than what people could have imagined, got to the finals twice with them, didn't win a championship. But that's where Miami is right now. They are stuck being that team where their better days are behind them. And you always know that if they're healthy, sure, with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, you don't want to have to go up against them. but they're not an easy out. But I do believe that their apex is just being a team that gets to the finals. And when they get to the finals, it's not expected that they get to the finals. So when I look at Jimmy Butler now, who has suffered injuries, has missed a lot of games, he's about to turn 35 in the fall. So you would keep, I guess, this year of the contract, and then you would tack on 2 more years. You're looking at paying him when he's 37 years old, like $57, $58, $59 million a season. I believe it's time to reset in Miami. Because even though I'm saying this, I don't think the rest of the league is saying this, and the rest of the league is thinking this. And if Jimmy Butler becomes available, whether it's New York, whether it's Philadelphia, Orlando, the Lakers, Golden State, like whoever the teams are that are star hunting this offseason, those teams are going to be interested in Jimmy Butler. So you could get some assets back for Jimmy Butler. But I do think it would be a mistake. And I don't think it would age well if this offseason the Miami Heat go, Jimmy, we're rewarding you for what you did in the past. Not what you project to do in the future, but what you did in the past. And we're going to give you what the Herald was reporting, a potential 2-year extension for $113 million that he's seeking. And we know the Jimmy Butler playbook here. You don't give Jimmy Butler what he wants this offseason. Like, you got to make this decision now. Because if you don't give Jimmy Butler what he wants this offseason, with a year left on his contract before the player option, he'll turn out to be a royal pain in the ass. So I would look to trade Jimmy Butler this offseason if I was Pat Riley and if I was running the Miami Heat. Now, let's get to the future of Paul George, who has a player option this offseason. I looked at the Clippers. They have a ton of talent. They're always trying to assemble this team that's going to be great. They either can't stay healthy or they don't get the job done when it matters the most. It's a shame what has turned into the career of Kawhi Leonard. Whenever he gets injured now and they go, oh, there's a chance he's going to be back for this game, a chance he's going to be back for that game, I just expect him to be done for the season. Paul George, who had that terrible knee injury, that leg injury when he was with Indiana, he has, I know, suffered some other injuries, but this year he did play 74 games in the regular season. That's a heck of a number for Paul George. Paul George could still be very effective as a player. And I was reading from Ramona Shelburne that there's 2 teams that could potentially be of interest in Paul George this offseason. One was Orlando, who's a young, up-and-coming team and needs another piece to take that next step. And the other are the Philadelphia 76ers. And I know Paul George is getting up there in age, and I know Sixers fans probably have PTSD when it comes to players with injuries, because they've had some bizarre injuries. Embiid to start his career. Remember Markelle Fultz, he either got hurt, then forgot how to shoot, or forgot how to shoot, then got hurt. Ben Simmons, tell me a day that guy isn't injured, and it's probably easier than rather discuss the long injury history of Ben Simmons. So I could understand the Sixers fans' skepticism with Paul George, but Embiid's a walking injury. You have Tyrese Maxey, who is a budding star in this league. I don't think at this point, with how many times we have seen this Sixers team come up short, that I know the contract will be ridiculous, but I don't think there's great risk here. Because if not, you're just going to be the same team that it's always going to be, oh, what could have been or what should have been with the Sixers, because they failed with Ben Simmons. They had Jimmy Butler, then he left. You paid Tobias Harris. He's not been worth the money that you gave him. Markelle Fultz, that's one of the greatest mysteries in the history of sports. So Philadelphia is trying to get a star this offseason. Daryl Morey knows they need to get another star. I would run next year with Embiid, Maxey, and Paul George. So that's how I evaluate the future of Jimmy Butler and Paul George. The Heat, I don't give him an extension this offseason. I trade him in for Paul George. You want to leave LA, which we don't know if he does. He'll opt out, get a new deal maybe from LA. But if the Clippers don't want to tango with you anymore, look for the Magic and look for the Sixers. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will come on back. We'll update you with some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We call that segment the news brief. Update time first. Here is the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $750 on average. Call or click today to find out if they could save you hundreds on your car insurance. The Sixers will host the Knicks tonight after staving off elimination with a win in New York on Tuesday when Tyrese Maxey was a one-man show and leading their comeback in the final minute of regulation, finishing with 46. The first game of the night features the Bucks and Pacers in Indiana. Milwaukee stayed alive with a win on its home floor on Tuesday night. The NFL's lead attorney, Jeff Pash, is retiring after 40 years with the league. Baseball today, the Marlins in 10 top the Rockies 5-4. Colorado has now trailed in 31 consecutive games, extending their streak earlier in this one. The Rangers in front of the Nationals 3-0 in the bottom of the fourth. The Giants lead the Red Sox 3-1. Top of the eighth, Mike Yastrzemski with a home run at Fenway this afternoon. The Mets and Cubs even at 5, bottom of the eighth. And in Baltimore, the Orioles looking to take 3 or 4 from the Yankees, lead 7-2 in the bottom of the eighth. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
All right, and this portion of the show is sponsored by the new Hyundai Tucson, available with complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Now it's easy to use your phone to control your Tucson. All righty, let's start it off with the news brief. This is Chad Ryder, longtime NFL reporter. He is an expert, as they like to say, when it comes to the NFL draft. He was on Orange and Blue today via Denver Sports. And some people asked him about maybe the Broncos, who a lot of us thought reached for Bo Nix at 12. Maybe they could have traded down, got some capital, and still got their man. This is what Chad had to say to that.
With the way the board went, realistically, could they have moved down and...
No, here's the thing. Teams don't move down and pick a quarterback. It doesn't happen. It's very rare that it happens. They're moving up to get a quarterback, or they stay put. A lot of people are like, oh, yeah, they can trade back to 22 with Philadelphia. No, the Rams were taking Nix at 19. Absolutely, if he's available. So, no, that was not going to happen. It doesn't happen, and it wasn't going to happen. If you believe in him, you take him. You don't screw around.
So I understand what Chad is saying, and I do think that resonates to be true. Like, remember when the Giants, it was a bad decision. Everyone knew it at the time. When they reached for Daniel Jones at 6, and everyone's like, oh, you could have traded back. You don't want to run that risk of losing someone. And you hear Chad say, oh, well, the Rams would have taken him if he was there at 19. Kind of does make sense that the Rams were in a business for a quarterback because, you know, you had Aaron Donald, right, who flirted with retirement, then was like, no, I'm all in, and then he retired. Matthew Stafford 2 years ago, it seemed like flirted with retirement. Now he's like saying he's all in, but I don't think he has that many years left in the tank. And you know Sean McVay is an offensive guru, and he probably extensively every year scouts these quarterbacks. So if he really did like Bo Nix, and you could get him at 19, I don't think anyone would have made a big deal about it. Like, we would have just said, oh, okay, Matthew Stafford probably has a year or two left. Bo Nix is, 24? So that's going to be the guy that succeeds Matthew Stafford in LA. But it wouldn't have been the reaction, even though it was earlier than any of us would have thought Bo Nix would have got selected. It wouldn't have been the same reaction as, oh my God, the Falcons just took Michael Penix at 8, because you just gave Kirk Cousins a 4-year contract worth $100 million guaranteed. Could they have moved back a few slots? Like maybe Indianapolis wanted to come up to get a defensive player, even though they ended up getting the first defensive player on the board. And I guess it's a possibility. You know, the Vikings did move up from 23. Were they willing to go up from 23 to 12? And they were willing to go 23 to 17 because you got something back. But then what happens if the Rams are like sitting there after 15? He's still there. And they moved up with the Seahawks at 16. And it's like, oh, you're trying to move back, and you don't get the deal done. So I understand what Chad's saying. I still think it's a reach by Denver, but Sean Payton fell in love with this guy, and he wanted to get this guy in his organization because he thinks he's going to be the franchise quarterback for the Denver Broncos. And what you keep on hearing, and I said this earlier in the week, and then we kept on hearing more and more audio come on out, that moment when he was in the war room and they thought they were going to draft Patrick Mahomes, and then Kansas City jumped them, this is him learning from that. Where you don't want to play this chance game where if you really believe in a guy, you go, you be aggressive, and maybe you have to take him earlier than what people didn't anticipate. Because, hey, we could all criticize this decision. We could all lambaste the Broncos for taking Bo Nix. But at the end of the day, you get a guy that plays 10 years for you that's a great quarterback. Everyone's going to then make the Broncos look to be geniuses. And those Broncos fans who are criticizing this pick, or even someone like me is criticizing the pick, will eat the words. And that's just the way that this works. Here is Jaylen Warren. This is on the Not Just Football podcast with Cam Hayward. So I saw the headline of this today, and I'm like, let me hear how this audio sounds. They were asking Jaylen Warren with the new kick return rules if he'd be interested in returning kicks. And in an unsolicited fashion, Jaylen Warren offered up what maybe the coaching staff is thinking about now, potentially special teams player Justin Fields.
I mean, I would. I think it's pretty cool. As soon as you touch the ball, that's when everything, starts to happen. Our offense or our special teams coordinator was talking about Justin Fields being back there. We're like, hold on.
Whoa, you breaking news already?
We looked at him like, Justin Fields better be that back there. And, it's, I don't know. I think it's cool.
Let me just say this in a nice way. The Steelers are a smart organization. The Steelers are a well-respected organization. I understand Justin Fields is a great athlete. He has a tremendous amount of speed. Justin Fields could potentially be your guy at quarterback. Russell Wilson does this Mr. Unlimited crap and is more focused about how he presents himself off the field than actually play on the field. And 4 or 5 games into the season, a team with a ton of talent isn't getting the production at quarterback. Who are the fans going to call for? Justin Fields. And could you imagine they have Justin Fields do a kickoff return in week 2 and he tears up his leg, and then Russell Wilson stinks up the joint the first 5-6 weeks of the season and you don't have Justin Fields because he's out for the year? I don't buy that whatsoever, but it's so bizarre that maybe it is true. Maybe Jaylen Warren didn't understand sarcasm, because there's no way you could actually put Justin Fields back out there to return kicks. And if they do, he returns 1 kick this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers, it tells me everything I need to know about their view of Justin Fields, and they don't think that Justin Fields has a chance to be a successful starting quarterback. You don't do that with quarterbacks. You don't see the Baltimore Ravens saying, oh, Lamar Jackson has speed. Lamar Jackson's one of the quickest dudes on the planet. Let's put Lamar Jackson back there to return kicks. It would be the definition of stupidity. Here is DJ Moore. Remember, he was a big-time advocate for the Chicago Bears to keep Justin Fields. Now they have Caleb Williams. This was on the Mirror Us, and DJ Moore says he's been working with Caleb Williams early.
Anticipation is there. You can tell that he's expecting us to be open at a certain time. So that's going to be one of the things that's better. But just got to be on the same page with him going forward. And it's just going to take some time. Maybe it's going to be fast, or it might take some time. But I'm hoping it's fast though.
I really like this Bears team. I do. I'm thinking they're 9-8. I'm thinking they're 10-7 this year. I think they're making the playoffs for the Bears. And it's tough to not want to see that franchise succeed with how many years they haven't had a quarterback. But I said that with the DJ Moore and then with the corner as well, Jalen Johnson, how much they were defending Fields. I appreciated that, but I thought it went a little bit too far because he really understood the situation. And it's one thing being a good teammate, but now you have to kind of say all these positive things about Caleb Williams because of how much you pumped up Justin Fields. But didn't you know down deep that it was going to be Caleb Williams anyway? Like, even though there was times throughout the season last year where even I said, oh, maybe they keep Justin Fields. When the season ended, no one was really thinking that Justin Fields was actually going to be kept by the Bears. Let's go to Matt Ishbia, the owner of the Phoenix Suns. Here are his long-term goals for the Suns after they just got swept out of the postseason.
Looking back 15 months in, it's been we set out some goals of originally be the best franchises, NBA and WNBA, across the board. And when I talked about when I bought the team, I said, hey, listen, we want to affect the culture, new headquarters, we want to affect fan experience, make it great. We want to do the community, we got the TV, the games on TV. We want to affect the community with the All-Star games, done those things. But the fourth one is winning. We want to win. We want to win the NBA championship. And I love that people are frustrated that we didn't win the NBA championship. Because guess what? So are we. We're disappointed. We want to win an NBA championship.
Oh, boy.
It's one thing to win 49 games and everyone get knocked out in the first round of playoffs and everyone high-fiving you. That's not what we're going to have in Phoenix. And it makes me happy. So I'm actually happy where we're at from that perspective, that people are disappointed, because guess what? There's not someone in the organization that's more disappointed than me, my GM, my CEO, my players, my coach. Everyone's disappointed,
you failed,
just
Matt.
like the fans. And guess what? I'm going to own the team for 50 years, and probably 45, 46, 47 of those years, we'll probably have the same conversation like, hey, we didn't win the championship, and we're going to be disappointed then too.
Nothing that he said is wrong, but you can't say that. As a fan, nothing drives me crazier when your team doesn't meet expectations, and then you have an owner in a 45-minute press conference just bloviate and just talk in circles and just goes around and around and around and around and puts his foot in his mouth. Don't insult your fans. That drives me nuts. I'm glad our fans are disappointed. It means that there's expectations. It means that people care. No, and then the worst line, the line that makes the hairs on my neck stand up, is whenever an owner says, you think you're disappointed, imagine how disappointed we are, because nobody cares more than me. Even if that's true and it is your team, you don't say it, because you're making it like you're above the fans. It's making it like, oh, we can't understand your pain because we don't live in your world. You want to be, like, Matt Ishbia is a guy that wants to be the star. He wants to be the owner with all the power, and also, right, a flashy kind of owner. You go out there, you say, this is unacceptable. We got swept. This is embarrassing with the talent that we have. We'll get it fixed. End of story. That's all you got to say. Not 45 minutes of basically saying that and then making it out that you're above the fans. I don't like that. Here's Rashad McCants on the Gilbert Arenas podcast. He has a LeBron James, JJ Redick conspiracy theory.
JJ and LeBron start a podcast. JJ says he wants to be a coach. LeBron knows Darvin's ass and his days are numbered. JJ gets hired by the Lakers. LeBron is still a player. JJ get to coach LeBron. They bring in Bronny. The podcast thrives.
They're still doing the podcast.
How does that not make no sense?
Stu, JJ Redick gets hired by the Lakers. What would be your reaction? All right, we don't need to spend any more time on this. Here is Roy Hibbert on Nikola Jokic, his former teammate, briefly. This was via YouTube.
I actually spent some time on the Denver Nuggets my last season in the NBA. I was on 3 teams in 1 year, and I started off in Charlotte, then got traded to Milwaukee for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I ended up in Denver. I've only spent like a very little time there, but Joker was like, I remember he drove me to the airport because I was living out of a hotel basically. So after practice, he would take me, and like, the dude was like the most laid back, funny dude ever though. Always playing jokes, farting in the locker room and stuff. A good teammate though, good friend.
Farting in the locker room, Nikola Jokic. That's a real dude. Also, what was that music in the background? Have you guys ever seen Red Panda? Are you guys familiar with Red Panda? She's on what's that bike? She's on like one of these large solo bikes, and she takes like all these bowls and she stacks them.
Peloton?
On top of her head. No, not a Peloton. What's the singular bike in the circus?
Oh, the unicycle.
Unicycle. Thank you. And she's on like a crazy unicycle, and she has all these bowls on her foot, and she like throws them on top of her head. And the song that's in the background sounds like the song that the great Red Panda does play. She's an absolute legend. She is an icon. And at the Big East tournament, they brought her out this year, and then the ultimate hype man, John Fanta, going nuts and basically cheering on Red Panda as if it was the Packers going up against the Bears, and you had 60,000 crazy screaming cheesehead fans just going nuts as their players tumbling into the end zone. Coming on back, we'll see if Stu's going to fart like Nikola Jokic during the break in the newsroom.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, baby. If you are a football nerd, we got some content for you. We'll do some non-football. We'll do pucks and ponies with Eddie Olczyk coming up 20 minutes from now. But there's a lot of times in the NFL where people obsess over grown men throwing a football or catching a football or participating in drills in just simply shorts and a t-shirt. And I find it rather interesting today, and I know it's part of the offseason program when you have a new head coach, you get a little head start on that, which the Falcons do with Raheem Morris. But I think Kirk Cousins is showing everybody, yeah, this is still my team. Kirk Cousins out on the field today, no brace, throwing the football, slow-mo video released by the Atlanta Falcons. And I'm just curious about the dynamic between Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr. this year. Now, Kirk is a professional. And I do think it depends when a team drafts someone or a team brings someone in to replace you, who you are as a player. For example, I don't think Kirk Cousins owes anything to Michael Penix Jr. But what Kirk Cousins needs to do is he needs to be a professional. He needs to compete as hard as he can, and he needs to lead by example. And it's up to Michael Penix Jr. to just be a sponge and absorb all that professionalism and all that knowledge that Kirk Cousins has. I don't think Kirk Cousins is someone, at least the way that I think I know him, that's going to be hasty, that's going to be contentious towards Michael Penix Jr. And maybe there's a moment right this offseason, or maybe they sit down and take an extra 30 minutes where the two of them sit aside from the group, sit aside from everyone else, right, on the offensive side of the ball. And maybe Kirk is a mentor to Michael Penix Jr. But when you just signed a 4-year contract with $100 million guaranteed, and Michael Penix Jr. is also a consummate professional, right, has an incredible amount of work ethic and dedication, and he's brought in, right, the perception, the narrative, the conversation is going to be, well, Michael Penix Jr., he's lurking over Kirk Cousins' shoulder. And the moment Kirk struggles, the moment Kirk doesn't have a good game, even though they just committed $100 million to him, guaranteed over a 4-year deal with $160 million was the total value of that contract, there's going to be drama, there's going to be outside noise, there's going to be conversation. That's fair. When do we see Michael Penix Jr. on the field? And don't be surprised if Kirk plays back-to-back bad games and one of those games are at home, and you start to have the Falcons fans chant for Michael Penix Jr. Don't be surprised by that. I guess they would have to chant, "We want Mike." I'm trying to, you can't do anything with you're not going to say, "Put in Penix." That doesn't flow. That doesn't flow very well. But if you're in the stands, you're drunk, and those ticket prices, by the way, in Atlanta, the concession stands in Atlanta, it's the most fairly priced concession stand maybe in all the sports. I'm talking NFL. Actually, let's go in all of the NFL because you could say sporting-wise, the Masters, you get the whole menu for $70. But for a football game, where they usually just make you just hand over your wallet upon entry. It is affordable to eat and get good value and get a good bang for your buck at a Falcons game. The only problem with the Falcons Stadium, a lot of those games are on Sundays. You know they have a Chick-fil-A stand? At least when they opened up that stadium, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, they have a Chick-fil-A stand in that stadium. Well, Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays. So, why would you put a Chick-fil-A stand in that stadium? Now, I know you could say Thursday night football, Monday night football, national championship games, right? College football games. But the main draw to the Falcons Stadium are the Atlanta Falcons. So most of their games occur on Sundays. Why would you put a Chick-fil-A stand in that stadium? Are you guys a big Chick-fil-A fans? Just wondering. Stu, when you're maybe in one of your moods and you're looking for some grub and you're looking for some fast food, are you dabbling in the Chick-fil-A world?
I will. It is not my favorite chicken place or chicken sandwich, but it is very good in my opinion.
Okay, Samter, are you a big Chick-fil-A fan?
No, not at all. I'm not a big fast food guy to begin with, but if I am going to do fried chicken fast food, I'll go Popeyes over Chick-fil-A.
Really?
Same.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow. Now, I would like to say I am an expert in this field, but I'm not. I don't eat a lot of fast food. Like when I was 8 or 9, maybe 10, I had a lot of fast food. But my mother, she didn't have a lot of rules. Fast food, she was not taking you to the fast food place. Doesn't matter how loud you were kicking and screaming and yelling and crying and saying nasty things. My mother was not taking us for fast food. It was my father who was the sucker for fast food. So, but my mother, she smelled fast food. Ooh, she would not be happy. So I first had Chick-fil-A actually when I was in college. One of my college roommates, Chick-fil-A was like a religion to him, going to Chick-fil-A. And I had Chick-fil-A then, thought it was fine, thought it was good. And then when the pandemic happened and I moved back for 4 or 5 months on Long Island, they opened a Chick-fil-A stand, a Chick-fil-A store. And let's just say there wasn't a lot of social distancing going there. I have never seen a place more packed where they actually had to hire a parking attendant or someone to coordinate the traffic because there was a major road next to it. And the cars would just line up in the road and there would be all these accidents. But, there was a time in the pandemic, let's say when you were enjoying yourself or getting ready to enjoy yourself, and you were looking for something tasty to eat, that I made quite a few trips to Chick-fil-A. And I will say, the sweet and spicy sriracha sauce at Chick-fil-A, very, very good. Polynesian, also very good. And then the granddaddy of them all, no, not the Rose Bowl, but the Chick-fil-A, just traditional sauce, very good as well. And they sell the Chick-fil-A sauce now. I don't know if this is new. Sometimes I'm very late on these trends. But I have now seen multiple times in the supermarket the bottle of the Chick-fil-A sauce being sold. Tremendous chicken nuggets, a great chicken sandwich. And actually, when I was on one of these bachelor parties, we went to a Chick-fil-A, impeccable service. We were sitting down, all of us were pigging out, eating Chick-fil-A. Guys come, you guys want more coffee on the house? It's on us, blah, blah, blah. This dude was, you know how when someone's looking for a promotion, they're the greatest employee ever? This guy just operating the Chick-fil-A inside, he must have been going for a big promotion. So that's where I am on Chick-fil-A. But getting back to the main crux of this conversation, the main gist of this conversation.
I don't think we have to move on. Let's just talk about fast food for the next 2 hours.
I'm a Chick-fil-A guy. All right?
I'm not going to lie. I feel like as good as the sports talk is on the show.
You want my hottest take?
Say it again?
You want my hottest take when it comes to fast food?
Oh, please don't.
It's
I'm
a
about
very popular joint that I've had it one time. I've had other opportunities to go back, and I probably should have gone back to get the truth on it because I am in the minority, the extreme minority.
Not Jack in the Box.
About this. I had In-N-Out Burger one time. I don't see the hype.
Yeah, you've got to go back.
Glorified McDonald's.
You've got to go back.
That was my takeaway. Someone I interned for, the great Angelo Cataldi, he said when he was retired, he was going to move out to the West Coast, and his job was going to be operating an In-N-Out burger. So I was at the Super Bowl one year, and they had me be their correspondent. And it was a West Coast Super Bowl, obviously. They do a morning show, which broadcasted locally 3 to 7 a.m. Pacific time. So I got up early. I had to do this report, but the night before I had to have In-N-Out burger. You know, I got the double burger, animal style, so I ordered it correctly. But man, that burger, underwhelming. Those fries, underwhelming.
Really? The fries, they literally cut the potatoes fresh right in front of you before they fry them up.
Now, I used to work at a Five Guys for 6-7 months, and I used to cook the burgers at Five Guys. I thought Five Guys was better. I haven't gone back to Five Guys, actually, since I worked there, just because you smell the grease. You know how the burgers are made. It's like, okay, I don't need to go back there. Shake Shack, I thought, was better.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, we got to hit up In-N-Out the next time we go out west.
No, just at Phoenix or just at Vegas.
Yeah, we missed it. There's a couple In-N-Outs right by where we were.
Yeah, no, I saw it, and I was like, I have no desire to go back.
Oh.
None. Maybe I need a mentor, like Michael Penix Jr. needs a mentor.
Transition. I love it. Great
you were
transition.
kind of being like Kirk Cousins, where you're Santa, the established guy, the big wig, has been around here for a while. You should have pulled me aside when we were in Phoenix. You should have pulled little poor old me aside when we were in Vegas and say, Gelb, you need to go back to In-N-Out. You need to have a serious conversation and a serious test run once again with In-N-Out. But you're being that douchey, older person that you are.
I'm not here to mentor. My job is to focus on me and what kind of food I like. You got to worry about yourself, young buck. That's not my job to mentor you, a.k.a. Kirk Cousins.
Oh, okay. What's the name of the show, by the way?
It's the Samter and Stu Show.
All righty. We'll be looking for a new producer next week.
Don't say that about Stu.
I wasn't talking about Stu. I was talking about you, buddy. Why do you think we're trading someone this week?
I'm the host of the show. What are you talking about? I'm not the producer.
But anyway, the serious point about Kirk Cousins, I don't think he has to go out of his way to help Michael Penix Jr. Maybe you have those moments and you build the trust, you build those relationships, because it is awkward. But I think you just have to do what you've always done. And that's be a professional. And it's up to Michael Penix Jr. to observe what you're doing and learn from you. And ultimately, Kirk Cousins has to realize it's out of his control when the day is inevitable, whether he likes the situation or not that he's in right now, where Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris and Arthur Blank will eventually decide when they're going to put Michael Penix Jr. on the field. So Kirk gets a little bit different because Kirk is established. Kirk is a $100 million guaranteed guy, and he's been a long-time starter in this league. A guy like Jacoby Brissett, who's been a journeyman, he's got to know where his place is. And he knows that he was brought into New England to get thrown to the wolves, and eventually they're going to have someone replace him. I think there is more of an obligation to Jacoby Brissett to help mentor Drake May than there is Kirk Cousins mentoring Michael Penix Jr. I think those situations are different because Kirk was not brought in to do that. Jacoby Brissett was clearly brought in to start 8 or 9 games at most in year one and then get the next guy ready to replace him. That doesn't mean Jacoby Brissett shouldn't have a healthy competition. Jacoby Brissett shouldn't try his hardest. Jacoby Brissett shouldn't think that he's going to start the entirety of the season, but you have to be a little bit honest with yourself. So let's hear from Jacoby Brissett. Was this when the Patriots were potentially drafting Drake May Samter, or was it after?
No, this was over the past couple days.
Okay, so let's hear Jacoby Brissett about the Pats drafting Drake May.
That's all out of my control, so I don't really worry about that. I'm excited to have him on the team and the other guys as well that we drafted and picked up. I think it's going to be good. Competition brings out the best in all of us, so I'm excited about that part. But yeah.
He gets it. He knows what he's there to do. And Jacoby Brissett's someone that he could start some games in the NFL. He could be efficient, but no one's ever going to view him as the franchise quarterback. All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. So that's where I think the role is of a starting quarterback that eventually is going to get replaced by someone. Depends on who you are. But for someone like Kirk, you do your job. It's up to Michael Penix Jr. to learn from you. Maybe when there's a day that you have trust, you pull each other aside and you have a separate conversation. But for someone like Jacoby Brissett, you know your role. Your role is to be the mentor and cater to everything that the Patriots are trying to do with Drake May. But that doesn't mean you can't be, like, if you don't see something you like with Drake May, you have every right to be critical of Drake May too. It goes both ways, not just positive, positive, positive. You got to be honest with Drake May too. And maybe sometimes you give a little criticism, whether it's necessary or not, to get the best version out of Drake May. Eddie Olczyk will join us next. We'll talk some pucks and ponies when we return.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, this portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. We're talking pucks. We're talking ponies. So, of course, we talk with Eddie Olczyk, who's kind enough to join us right now. Edzo, great to see you. How you been?
I'm doing well, Zach. Nice to see you. Nice to be with you. And I'll paint a picture here. I'm standing probably about 200 yards in our NBC production trailer, and I can see the Twin Spires out the window, and it's about 1,000 degrees out today. Thankfully, it's going to cool off a little bit. We might get a little bit of rain tonight, tomorrow, so the track might be a little bit off for the Phillies, the Kentucky Oaks. The Phillies will run for the Lilies, and then the boys will run for the Roses on Saturday. So should be one hell of a weekend, and looking forward to hopefully giving out a few winners on our USA Network and our NBC broadcast.
Yeah, personally, when COVID happened, I was supposed to go to the Kentucky Derby. I was going to go on a big bachelor party, do the whole Bourbon Trail, all that stuff, have a real guys' weekend, and then it got canceled, and everything changed with the world. Still today, I always say to myself, I have to find a way to get to the Kentucky Derby one of these
days. You got to. It's I get people, Zach, all the time that will talk about going to Derby, and I said, look, I promise you, you're going to wonder why in the hell you haven't been here 20 years earlier. And 99.9% of them are like, I had the greatest weekend of my life, and I want to go again. Well, unfortunately, it only happens once a year. But we do, I think we do get a lot of, we get a lot of new fans every year that come in and just look at it. It's not just about, I know our broadcast anyway, it's not just about the gambling and the horse race. It's about the pageantry. It's about the dress and the food and the drinks and the people and the celebrities and the entertainment. And by the way, Churchill Downs has refurbished their paddock where the horses get saddled for the races. They put $200 million into it, and it took 2 years, but I'll tell you what, it looks beautiful. So people will get a really good look at it this coming weekend with our coverage on USA Network and NBC.
Edzo, Eddie Olczyk here with us. We'll go back to the ponies in just a second. I'm really impressed with Dallas, though, when we get to the ice. Yeah. With who Vegas is, I know Dallas, right, with what they did the regular season. When you're down in a spot like that, I thought they were going to fold, and to now see them be up 3-2 in this series is so impressive.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't play all that great, obviously, at home. And they probably played as good as a game that I've seen the Dallas Stars, Zach, play in Game 3. I actually worked at Game 3 for TNT with Johnny Forsland, and Logan Thompson, the goalie for the Vegas Golden Knights, played out of his mind. I mean, it could have been a 5-0 game for Dallas. And all of a sudden, you're in overtime, right? Like, you play the best game that you've played in a long time, and you're fighting for your life because it could easily lost the game, right? We've seen goaltenders win series and win games and win series, but they found a way. Wyatt Johnson scored an overtime, beautiful goal, and they haven't looked back since. And they've been the better team. Now, I kind of thought this series would go 7 games, so it's certainly on course to do that if Vegas can win 1 game. But they're going to have to find a way to really capitalize on some chances that they get, because Jake Ottinger right now is seeing it, the goaltender for the Dallas Stars. And they got to find a way to get some separation in the game to give themselves a chance to get back for Big D on Sunday. And I think that's going to be my next assignment. If it gets to a Game 7, I'm going to go right from here in Louisville to Dallas for a Game 7 on TNT. So I'll be watching very closely on what day is it? Thursday, Friday. I'll be watching tomorrow night in Vegas to see what the hell happens in that game.
When you get to the Oilers, they're off to the second round, taking care of the Kings in 5 games. Is this the year? Do you feel confident that McDavid and Draisaitl get to the Cup final this year?
I'm probably more encouraged now, Zach, than I was maybe going into the playoffs. They went into L.A., right? That was game 4. They only got 13 shots on goal. The Edmonton Oilers, 13 shots on goal in the whole game, and they won 1-0. My biggest question mark was, could they defend enough in order to win those type of games come playoff time? And, somebody asked me, like, Edmonton, high-powered, great players. What would you compare 13 shots on goal for the Edmonton Oilers in the game, right? They were averaging anywhere between 28 and 33 in the playoffs. So 13, I would say, well, that's probably like Patrick Mahomes passing for 75 yards in a football game. Just like, what? Like, what defense played, right? Was it the Steel Curtain, or was it the Bears of 85 that, shut them down? But I was really impressed with the way they were able to do it. Look, they can win. It looks like they can win 6-5, or they can win 1-0. So I still have question marks about their defense, but look, they did what they needed to do, and now they're going to play the winner of Vancouver, Nashville, and that series looks like it's going to go 7 games. So yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, but very impressed. To answer the heart of your question about Edmonton.
Is Colorado right now, in your opinion, the most dangerous team in the West, or do you go someone else still?
I mean, I still think that Dallas and Vegas are still, are dangerous teams just because of the experience that they have. And we know Vegas is defending Stanley Cup champions. And look, I think you have to put Edmonton into that mix too. Depends on who they end up getting and all those sorts of things. But I did games 3 and 4 in Denver for the Jets Avalanche series. And I mean, for a team that was so good defensively over the course of the regular season, Zach, that being Winnipeg, Colorado make them look average. And Connor Hellebuck, who's going to win the Vezina Trophy for the best goalie in the National Hockey League, was very average. And you know what? I think he gave up 4 goals or more in every single one of those games. And the pressure was on Alexander Georgiev, and he passed the test after game 1 where he gave up 7. And other than that, he was very, very good. So I would not argue if you're telling me Colorado is the team, because they seem to be on all cylinders. And when you have Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen going out there, for 25 or 30 minutes of the game each and every night, you got yourself a hell of a chance to win. So they seem to have it going on right now for sure.
Let me get to the East. I say this as a crazy Ranger fan. I know it's Stanley Cup or bust this year, and I know they won the President's Trophy, but I feel like the most dangerous team in the East is Florida. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I do. Florida has the ability to play any way that you want, and I think the Rangers do too. And I know there's been a lot made with Matt Reppy getting the opportunity to come to the Big Apple and play, and he's had a huge impact. I mean, the blue shirt fans love him, and rightfully so. And he does have that ability to, what's the politically correct way to say this? He keeps people honest. And I think there's something for that. And I believe that intimidation is always going to be a part of sports. So look, and I'm a big baseball fan, as you know, Zach, and I'm all for, hey, you know what? If you got to pinch inside to have success, you got to pinch inside. And sometimes you're going to hit people. I mean, look, you're not trying to, but you got to be able to pinch inside. And maybe the next batter or the guy that you maybe hit, maybe the next time he's not going to dig in as much, right? So I think with a guy like Rempe in that lineup, everybody's a little bigger, everybody's a little tougher, and I think guys can be relaxed a little bit more to go out there and know that nobody's going to be taking any liberties on them. So that would be, look, Rangers are going to have their handful with Carolina. Let's make that perfectly clear. Like, I expect that series to go at least 6, probably will go 7. But if it does get to a Ranger-Florida, and then Florida's going to have to take out who they're going to play, either Boston or Toronto, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see how that all plays out. But a Ranger-Florida final, Eastern final, I think the Rangers have the ability to go ahead and go toe to toe, punch for punch with the additions that they have and the other guys that they have in the lineup. So they're a dangerous team. I can't believe it's the 30-year anniversary coming for our team that won the Cup back in '94. I don't know where in the hell the time has gone, but I know since then I've got 2 grandkids, and I got another one on the way in July. So
awesome!
I know how long the time has been. That's for sure.
Yeah, a little bit different from when you were in 1994 with that
That's
great
correct.
team. So correct. I know you got to run Eddie Olczyk before we let you run. Speak to me here about the Kentucky Derby. Who's the long shot that I should throw some money on? Who do you like to win the race this weekend?
Well, I mean, the interesting horse to me. I mean, a horse has never been on the dirt, and the name of the horse is Endlessly, number 14. I think the horse will be every bit of probably 35-40 to 1. I think the horse has a chance of hitting the board. That would be one of those smart strikes like we had a couple of years ago at 80 to 1. But I would just say that if you're looking for a long shot, I think the horse might be able to, to run and hit the board. Another long shot I like is the 3 Mystic Dan, morning line 20 to 1. But look, I think you have to use the 17 Fierceness without a doubt, Zach. Going to be contested with the speed. I think there is a lot of speed in this race. The one key horse to me is the 1 horse Door Knock, because this horse needs to break from the 1 hole and really get there and get position. And I think if the 1 breaks, it's going to put some pressure on the 17 to come over. Fierceness is the real deal. You have to use them on all. I think you have to use them on all your tickets, just depending on where you want to. But I'm expecting a fast pace, and I'm going to go right now anyways. And we're going to have, like I said, the weather. Not sure what the weather is going to happen here in the next little while, but I like the 4 horse Catching Freedom, trained by Brad Cox, who's a Louisville native. Won the Louisiana Derby in New Orleans at the fairgrounds back in March. If he gets a hot pace, he's going to be one of those horses that's kind of going to be looking like he's shot out of a cannon when they turn for home. So the faster they go early, the better it will be for Catching Freedom. So morning line 8 to 1, early betting he's 8 to 1. I'm hoping he's probably in that 10 to 1 range, and hopefully we can make people a little bit of money. So I'm going to play him across the board. I'm going to play Win Play Show on Catching Freedom. And if he doesn't happen to win, you still might get a really good place price where you might be able to make a little bit of money on your investment across the board.
By the way, the first time I talked to you, I was in high school, and we talked about your love for Kenny Loggins. When are we getting your horse?
Are you rubbing it in? Are you rubbing it in here now? Oh, my gosh. That's a long time ago, isn't it?
But when are we getting your horse? I think you need to get a horse. This is it, and it's got to run for the roses, right?
Yeah. That would be a dream come true. I had a really nice filly, probably going on 20, right before I got to New York. So like in 92, 91-ish, I had a really nice filly that unfortunately got injured. But I haven't come close. So I'm just trying to pay the bills right now with the horses I got right now. But I like your thought process, though. I do like that.
Good. I don't forget much. But he's Eddie Olczyk. Edzo, enjoy the pucks, enjoy the ponies. We appreciate you joining us for a few minutes today.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it.
There you go. The great Eddie Olczyk. No one better to talk horse racing and hockey with, joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. You could always give us a follow Instagram and Twitter at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Let's get the latest update in with the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, 2 teams failed to close out their series on Tuesday and will try again tonight. The Bucks staved off elimination and are in Indiana for Game 6, still down 3-2, while the Knicks came up short against the Sixers, blowing a lead in the final minute and losing in overtime. The Knicks stole one in Game 2, but gave it back on Tuesday. Baseball today, the Orioles take 3 of 4 from the Yankees, winning the finale 7-2. It was the Mets rallying from 4 runs down to beat the Cubs in 11, 7-6. Francisco Lindor came off the bench as a pinch hitter in the 6th and drove in 4 runs, including the game winner. And the Giants topped the Red Sox 3-1 as Mike Yastrzemski homered at Fenway, a place where his grandfather Carl certainly was popular in his career. The Marlins defeated the Rockies by a score of 5-4, and the Rangers currently in front of the Nationals by a score of 3-0 in the bottom half of the seventh. One game in the Stanley Cup Finals tonight. The Maple Leafs host the Bruins, down 3-2, staying alive with an overtime win in Game 5, but they will not have Austin Matthews tonight due to injury. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Infinity Sports Network. That's Infinity Sports Network to follow us on Instagram.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network. It is the Zach Gelb Show. I wasn't planning on doing this, but earlier this AM, a buddy of mine gave me a phone call. He goes, got an extra ticket for the Sixers-Knicks game tonight. Would you want to go? So, going to drive down after the show, and I thank the NBA, my guy Spineless Silver, Adam Silver. I know he always has the best interest for me. I actually think this is the best thing Spineless Silver has done in a long time, scheduling this game for 9 p.m. Eastern time. Because I got the ticket today, like the day of the game. You know, if I knew I was going to the game yesterday or something, could have arranged for me to do the show from Philly. So I'll take a quick drive down the turnpike tonight, and then we'll drive back tonight. And probably, that game, if it's, let's say it starts at 9:15, probably ends like 15 minutes after midnight. Once you get out of the stadium, let's say it's 12:30, 12:40, get on the highway or the turnpike to get back. I'll probably be back tonight around like 2:30, I would say. If I'm in bed by 3 o'clock tonight, I think that's a win. Stu, do you see Stu is even looking at it? Stu is kind of in the afternoons here, has turned into like the authoritative voice. Like Pete Bellotti is the authoritative voice in the mornings, where it's the voice of reason, which tells you where we are. We're a network. If Pete and Stu are the voices of reason. But whenever there's like an issue in terms of outside of here, people go to Pete. I think in the afternoons, people go to Stu. Do you think I will be in bed tonight at 3 a.m. Eastern time, tip off at about 9:15?
I think so. Sometime between 2:30 and 3 o'clock, I believe.
Yeah. And the rent-a-car place is adjacent to my apartment, which makes it very easy.
Very easy, useful.
So I just drop off the rent-a-car, put the key in the box, and then walk a half block, and then I'm in bed. I don't think I'm going to shower at that time of night. I showered right before I got to work. Maybe I'll work out in the morning and shower right after the workout in the morning. But I'm looking forward to that because I'm just curious what the environment's going to be like. A place like Philadelphia, I have never seen an opposing team's fan base take over a building like that. Now, it's not like it's some terrible sports city. It's one of the best sports cities I've ever been to. And their owners had to buy 2,000 tickets, which I don't know if they actually bought them. And the owners, give me 2,000 tickets. But they got 2,000 tickets and they handed them out in the streets today in Philadelphia. I did see our pals down the hall, Sean Marash, Tiki Barber, and Evan Roberts. They're all going to the game tonight. And they are in Philadelphia right now doing the show. Marash is a great troll, I will say. So I don't know if you guys saw this photo. Stu, Sam, did you guys see this photo of our old pal, Sean Marash? Just wondering? No, you guys haven't?
Depends on the photo. I've seen many photos of him recently.
This is a recent photo of Sean Marash today. What jersey do you think big-time New York football Giant fan Sean Marash wore to do his show in Philadelphia today? And we know Marash is kind of like the Snooki of radio. He's always looking for the attention. So what kind of jersey did Marash wear today to try to get under the skin of the Philadelphia sports fan? What's your first guess here, Stu?
I'll go Eli Manning.
It is not an Eli Manning jersey. Samter? I think Samter, this is the clue I'll give you. It's not a great clue. But knowing your relationship with this person, I think you will get a great kick out of the jersey choice that Sean Marash wore to troll those Philadelphia fans in the city of brotherly love today.
I mean, is it tiki?
It is not tiki. Right family, wrong brother.
Oh, that makes sense. Yes. A Rondé jersey, since that was the last touchdown scored at Veterans Stadium.
They closed down the stadium in that NFC title game. That is an all-time great trolling move. And Marash has lost some weight. So I'm not piling on him. I wonder where he got the Rondé Barber jersey, because the jersey does look a little snug. Could this be a jersey that Tiki had, and Marash asked Tiki, or Tiki said, hey, Marash, it'd be pretty funny to wear a Rondé Barber jersey. Now, most of the time, the comments on social media are always negative. But the first comment is, Marash is obese. So it is a little bit of a tight jersey. But Sean, may I dare even say, it looks a little bit slim these days. Shawnee slim. So do you think that is Tiki's jersey of his brother, Rondé Barber, Santer?
No, because especially when Tiki would have been wearing a jersey of his brother, Tiki used to be jacked. He's obviously lost a lot of weight as he's finished his career. So I wouldn't imagine a jersey of Rondé that Tiki wears would be
not
snug.
just that he had.
I mean, maybe. Listen, could it be a jersey
Could
from...
it be snug on Marash? Rondé Barber is at most wearing a large jersey. At most.
No, I'm saying if Tiki was wearing a jersey. Tiki was huge because he was a running back. Rondé was obviously a little bit more slender.
Tiki's not wearing like an extra large jersey. It's a large jersey.
Well, when he was like a player.
Still,
when he was,
large.
Maybe not extra large, but, large enough.
You can't
that wouldn't be snug on a slim down Marash.
No offense, and this is no offense taken. You can't relate in us big people world. You just can't. Marash is definitely a 2X. This looks like it's a large-ish jersey, and maybe Marash is tapping into the XL category, and he's chopped off an X. Probably at Marash's height, 3X. I've lived that life.
Yeah, it's not a world I've lived in before.
Yeah, no. If we gave you an XL jersey, it would look like a dress on you.
The only times I've ever had an XL shirt of any kind is when you snag one of those free jerseys they throw into the stands at a stadium.
By the way.
And they're always like XL or double XL, and it doesn't fit anybody.
That happened to me. I was at the Met game last night with Carlos with a K, but another time I went to a Mets game this year, they were just handing out free jerseys in center field. I guess it was like some party or something happened, and they just had extra jerseys. So I grabbed one. It was a 2X Darryl Strawberry 86 Met jersey. The problem is I already have a 2X Darryl Strawberry 86 Mets jersey. So I have this free jersey now that's in the packaging that I just took it and then realized what it was. And I now have to give it to. I feel like compelled to give it to someone here and be a good person. I just got to find someone that's we're in a radio station, so it's probably not tough. Find someone that's a little bit extra thicker that is a New York Mets fan. So I'll just go in the hallway and throw it, and the next thing you know, look like a bunch of wolves that haven't had a piece of meat in a while, and that thing will be gobbled up in a second. Anywho, let's get to the next topic of conversation. We've seen LeBron James eliminated with the Los Angeles Lakers in 5 games. We saw Steph not even make it into the actual postseason this year with his team going home in the play-in tournament. And then you did have Kevin Durant get swept out of the postseason. LeBron James has 4 championships. Steph Curry has 4 championships as well. 1 before KD, 2 with KD, and then 1 after KD. And Kevin Durant has 2 championships. Will any of those players win another championship? Stu, I'll start with you. LeBron, Steph, or KD? Will any of those players win another championship?
I say no, 0 for 3.
Samter, can you make an argument for any of those players to win another championship with the remaining years left in the association?
No chance for KD, but LeBron or Steph, depending on who they team up with. Do I think that Steph or LeBron would be the number one guy on another championship winning team? Probably not. They would probably have to have, like, LeBron right now, he's the number 2. He's the biggest face, but he's the number 2 for the Lakers. So,
I don't agree with that. I still think he's number 1 on the Lakers. He's the most reliable player in the Lakers.
Reliable, yes, but like when healthy, Anthony Davis is the best player in the Lakers.
Stu, would you agree with that? I think he's their most valuable, Anthony Davis.
I think that's the idea for Davis to be the best player on the team at this point, but I don't think he's taken that torch like they had hoped he would. So
It's
I would
very
say
sporadic with Anthony. Like when they won the finals,
he's not consistent enough.
When they won the finals, he was awesome. I think he's the most valued, but the player I trust the most to be the best player is LeBron James. So you're not that far off, Santa, because I think you're right. What Stu just said. That's the image and the idea is LeBron. Even when LeBron slows down, he's still a top 10 player in the league. But the idea was for LeBron to maybe take a little bit of a step down. You're passing the torch to Anthony Davis, and Davis propels himself to consistently looking like what he could be. And then you have the two of them when LeBron plays like another year or two. Davis is your best player, but you don't see it enough consistently from Anthony Davis, or he gets hurt.
Right. And when they won the bubble title, Anthony Davis was the guy that they thought he could be, and he was probably the number 1 at that time. Even though it was still LeBron's team, it felt like AD was the guy who was putting them over the top. But I don't think either him or Steph, but do I see Steph or LeBron? They're championship caliber players who, with the right team and the right guys around them, will win another championship. So it just depends. If LeBron finishes his career with the Lakers and they add one more big piece, could they? Sure. If LeBron goes to the Warriors, could they? Sure. But I think Steph and LeBron need to be the number 2 somewhere with a big star. But I can see both of them still winning a title.
So let me look at all three of them individually. I think LeBron is going to stay in LA, and that's his last stop. Even if, let's say, the Lakers add a Trae Young this offseason, I don't think that's going to be enough to go win a championship. So I think we've seen the last of LeBron James winning a title. If he wants to win a title again, he could try Golden State, or he could try maybe Philadelphia out of the realistic destinations. Throw maybe even Dallas in there. Steph, I think out of this group, Steph has the best chance, but not in his current situation. And the reason why it says he has the best chance, like, we'll see what happens with Clay. They should, if Clay's coming back, it's got to be on the cheap for NBA standards. I would love to see LeBron go to the Bay Area and team up with Steph. But here's the thing about Steph. Steph could win another championship like 3-4 years from now if, let's say, he left Golden State and he's going to go play at the end of his career like 16 minutes a game, 15 minutes a game, and you have him just be a sharp three-point shooter. Like, look at what Ray Allen did in Miami towards the end of his career. There was a defined role for him. So if Steph wants to take on that role, and Steph's the greatest three-point shooter of all time, he could win another championship. But I don't think Steph has it in him to leave the Golden State Warriors. I think he wants to be on one team for his entire career, and they keep on rewarding guys like Draymond and Clay for what they did in the past and not what they'll do in the future. For Durant, if you leave the Suns, where are you going? Like, all right, you want to throw out Philly? Fine. Like, where are you going? I think Durant's going to stay with the Suns, but I can't see Durant winning another championship. And maybe it's just because of what Barkley said. He's more of he's a passenger on the bus. He's a rider on the bus rather than the driver on the bus. So what Samter's saying, like, if he goes and takes a lesser role, but like, look what he did in Phoenix right now. You have Bradley Beal there, who's not a star. You have Devin Booker there, who is a star. You get the blend of a younger player and then an older player. And they can't win jack squat. Last year, out. This year, they got swept out of the postseason. So I don't think any of the three win again. It's tough for me to envision LeBron winning again. I don't see it with KD. And for Steph Curry, I could see it if he's willing to take like a smaller role 3-4 years from now. And you just go be like just a three-point shooter somewhere on a really damn good team. But I don't think we'll see right now. Like, you asked me yes or no, over-under is a half. Do I take the over, the under? Championship for LeBron, Steph, and KD? I would take the under. I'm going to say that 0 of these players win another championship. All righty, we'll take a break. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. When we come on back, James Harden. Just when people were saying, oh, he's showing up in the playoffs, just like last year, right? Oh, he's showing up in the playoffs early up against the Celtics. When push comes to shove and you need a victory and there is a big moment late in the series, James Harden goes MIA. Who is a great player that never won a title? We'll break it down in the NFL, in the NBA, in the NHL, and also in Major League Baseball. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Coming on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
And it's the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I've said this for years. James Harden, great. Hall of Fame, great regular season player. But come postseason time, he is the antithesis of what he is in the regular season. And you could give me a few moments. Remember the block he had up against Oklahoma City, I think it was, a few years ago. All right, that was a fine moment. Defensive moment, it was good, but that series never should have got as far as it did. Last year, he had some good early showings with the Sixers up against the Celtics, but when push came to shove, he did not do his job towards the end of the series. I think James Harden, as a pro, does not take his job as serious as he should. Now, I'm not saying he shouldn't have a good time. I'm not this old curmudgeon. We all know his affinity for strip clubs. But there have been times when he is disgruntled in a place. What's the number one criticism you hear from people internally or people that coach him? Whether it's on the record or anonymous sources. We wish he put in more work. We wish he took his craft a little bit more seriously. And it's actually impressive, right, being this big-time athlete, how great he can be in the regular season when at times the priorities seem to be maybe enjoying yourself in a fine gentleman's club a little bit more than people usually go compared to maybe putting a little bit more extra work on the court. I remember that time he was in Brooklyn, or it was at the end of Houston, where people thought he put on like a fat suit and he tried to orchestrate his eventual trade or expedite the trade from the Rockets. And then he got to Brooklyn and it was like, how did James Harden look like he was a slob in Houston? And then in 2 weeks, he's slim and trim in Brooklyn. So my biggest problem with James Harden, it may not necessarily be him going to the strip clubs and him not taking his craft as serious as maybe he should. But it's the lack of accountability. And whenever something goes wrong, it's always someone else's fault. Whether it was his relationship deteriorating with Daryl Morey, his lack of relationship with Doc Rivers in Houston, teammates got annoyed with him because they were there ready to go and they were always waiting for James to show up. So James goes to LA, a place where whether you love Doc Rivers or not as a coach, it's irrelevant. But Doc Rivers, when he was there, if you remember at the end, he basically made it known, I wish when Paul George and you also had Kawhi Leonard throw him under the bus, he talked about how sometimes he wanted those players to actually show up a little bit more. And he wanted those guys to take their craft a little bit more seriously. And Doc even had that same complaint with James Harden. When you're going out and partying and then you're playing stinking games and you're not playing well, well, why do you think you're not playing that well? So you go to LA, especially like a place like the Clippers, where they don't give a rat's ass what you do, right? We all know the players run that organization. So James Harden, earlier in this series up against the Mavericks, dare I say it, I was actually impressed. And I broke my number one rule with James Harden. Don't get impressed with him early on in the series. Just wait and wait and wait. And when you get later and later on in the series, like when you get to a pivotal Game 5 last night, when you're on your home court, and I get it, the Clippers don't have this great home advantage, but you are still home, you get smacked. You get obliterated by the Dallas Mavericks, as the Mavericks just destroyed the Los Angeles Clippers last night, 123-93. And I get it. The Clippers are playing without Kawhi Leonard. What else is new? Paul George, who at times has also come up small in the postseason. He did not have a good game either last night. But James Harden was an abysmal 2 of 12 from the field, 1 of 7 from the three-point line. And his plus-minus in the game, he was a minus 25, which was the worst for not only starters, but the entirety of the Clippers team. And he gave you a pathetic, putrid 7 points in the game. 7 points from James Harden. James Harden is a player that is a great regular season player. Tremendous story, right? He was a 6-man with the Thunder and then blossomed on his own and won an MVP. Like, his resume, James Harden's resume, is extremely impressive. But what's missing on that resume? That signature postseason moment that leads his team or is a part of a team winning a championship. Like, not many guys win 6-man of the year and then also win an MVP. There was a time where the rise in the work ethic and the dedication of James Harden was at an all-time great level. But now, it's the same story. You know, like when you love a movie and you watch a movie 1,000 times, but you sit there, even in like the 900th time you watch it, and you expect something to be different with the movie. And you may be sitting there, you may be like, oh, maybe this will be different. Maybe this actor, actress will do this, and it never changes because you've seen the movie 1,000 times and the movie's already been produced. That's James Harden. James Harden is the movie that you love to watch. It has a bad ending. You know what the ending is going to be. You hope the ending is always going to change, but it never does. You know, I did not have an issue with the ending of The Sopranos. Some people did. A lot of people had an issue with the ending of Seinfeld. Curb, right, with Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, poked fun at the ending of Seinfeld in the finale of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Whenever there's like a great show and it ends poorly or the ending is unsatisfactory, there's a part of you that you love the show, but it leaves like a little bit of a bitter taste in your mouth. And you watch it and you love it and you keep on rerunning it and you're saying, maybe it'll be different this time. But it never changes. That's James Harden. James Harden is like an 8-episode great series, and the meat and potatoes of the series is awesome, but towards the end, it's like, wah, wah, wah. That's James Harden. And every year, oh, look at James in the regular season. Look what he's doing with the Thunder. Look at the sacrifices that he's made with Brooklyn and the Rockets and Philly and Los Angeles. Oh, he's being a team guy. He's being awesome. A big postseason game, pivotal Game 5 up against the Dallas Mavericks. 1 of 7 from 3. 2 of 12 from the field. And a putrid 7 points. So, yesterday, I was talking about Larry Fitzgerald. Santa is playing that Dave Pasch call from the Super Bowl where Larry Fitzgerald thought he put the Cardinals in a situation to hoist the Lombardi trophy, and then we all know what happened with Santonio Holmes and Ben Roethlisberger.
Foot wasn't down.
You could still say the foot wasn't down. We have the same conversation as yesterday. You say the foot isn't down. You give me a bleep-eating grin because you know the foot was down. Both feet were down. And then my guy Colton, who's training on the board, he just waves that hand. I forgot he was there, Colton. And that mitt, that paw, comes right up and gives a little wave. And he gives the J.J. McCarthy wave to the Ohio State fans that he gave. So that's what did transpire. Same thing yesterday, same thing today. And I talked about that all-time great run from Larry Fitzgerald, the 4-game great run. It's one of the best runs you'll see that didn't result in a championship. So in honor of James Harden, choking again and no showing again in the postseason, let's do players that were great who never won a ring. NFL, I think it starts off with the most important position, quarterback. Dan Marino, statistically, is one of the greatest quarterbacks you'll ever see. Dan Marino, still to this day, whenever you do these top 5, top 10 lists, people go, I know he didn't win a ring, but remember how great Dan Marino was? And could you imagine if Dan Marino played in today's game? Like Dan Marino maybe would have thrown, and this isn't hyperbole, 6,000 yards in a season in today's version of the NFL. Dan Marino, it was, just want to get the year right here, 1994. Actually, let's go 84. Sorry, 1984. Man, that's how I'm getting old. I have glasses. I looked at that year, and it was 84, and I thought it was 94. Uh-oh. I'm driving late tonight, too, in the dark. Uh-oh. Am I getting old? As I'm about to turn 30 in August. Is that a moment where I realize that I'm getting really old? But in 1984, Dan Marino threw for 5,084 yards and 48 touchdown passes. Like, in today's game, without how easy it is for quarterbacks, and you can't hit quarterbacks, same time, I don't think it's crazy to say that Marino would have thrown, what, 60 at one season, 60 passing touchdowns and 6,000 yards. Like, that's not crazy, right?
No question. He had the quickest release you've ever seen.
And look at the entirety of the career. Just the crazy numbers. 5,084 yards in 84. 4,746 yards in 86. 4,434 yards in 88. 4,116 yards in 92. 4,453 yards in 1994. Hey, think about that. The consistency of it. Dan Marino, to me, NFL, the first player I think of. Great player that didn't win a ring. NBA. In my lifetime, it's Vince Carter. I absolutely loved watching Vinsanity. And he's someone that I would have loved to have seen win an NBA championship. Hockey, my lifetime, one of the greatest goaltenders of all time, Henrik Lundqvist. That's a dude that deserved to win a Stanley Cup. And there was a lot of years his team let him down. And Major League Baseball, I'll go old school, Ted Williams. But then this is going to be a controversial one. Because this is a guy that I would have loved to have seen win a ring. And there's so many people that hate this guy. And I know they'll say cheater. I know they'll say he's a bad dude. But still, the most exciting baseball player I have ever seen with my two eyes to not win a championship, Barry Bonds. I know, 855-212-4227. Gelb, are you a moron? Gelb, do you know he's a cheater? Gelb, do you know he used a syringe and took steroids? Yes, I know. And unlike Cooperstown, I still acknowledge the numbers he put up when Major League Baseball allowed it. So Dan Marino, NFL, Vince Carter, NBA, Henrik Lundqvist, NHL, Major League Baseball, Barry Bonds, Ted Williams, my list of players that did not win a ring that should have won a ring. Now, there's another name that I think of in the NFL. I will hold it, though. And we will see what you guys end up doing. Stu, who are a few players that you wish could have one day maybe got a ring?
In terms of guys, I think that should have. NFL, I think LaDainian Tomlinson was just out of this world. Led the league in rushing multiple times. He had 3 first-team All-Pros, 3 second-team All-Pros. Like, he was the epitome of the running back position for like 10 years when the running back was still a great position. I mean, he was just incredible.
And that was a team 14-2. It was in 06. 14-2 in 06. They were the number 1 seed. They're playing at home against the Pats. Brady throws a pick. Troy Brown pops out the football, and they recover it. And Hickey, who's a Colts fan, because the Patriots, remember, own the Colts then. And you would think that a Colt fan would be very nervous about the Patriots coming into their building. He was actually saying he was more afraid of the Chargers. Him and his dad were more afraid of the Chargers that year because of how many times the Chargers found a way to take care of business up against the Colts. That was the team. That 14-2 team in 06, they should have won a championship.
So good with Gates and Rivers, and that was just an incredible team. NBA, I'll go Allen Iverson. I think
great one.
He was just so good. He was kind of like a guy that I think he was probably a favorite player for a lot of people too during that time. And obviously, he just ran into the Kobe and Shaq machine. He deserved better. He should have won a ring. He put that team on his back multiple times. He was
Ty Lue
incredible.
Step over.
Yeah, just iconic.
And really changed a big part of the NBA. So you go LT, LaDainian Tomlinson, to be clear. And then you ended up going with Allen Iverson, the answer. I wonder if he'll be in the building tonight at the Wells Fargo Center I'm going to. Probably. He's usually at a bunch of these games. Samter, who are some players for you? There's 2 players in the NFL that one I had going into this conversation I didn't name on purpose, and the other, based off your answer, actually, Stu, of LT, it made me think of another player. But go ahead, guys.
There's 2 for me. The one that stands out, I mean, obviously Marino is the guy, but it's Barry Sanders. It's a little bit different because we're thinking quarterbacks, and it's harder to say a running back can impact a game in that way. But Barry Sanders is the guy who should have, and he never even came close. I think he won 1 playoff game in his entire career. Just no matter how good he was, they could never do anything. Even when Scott Mitchell was good. And Randy Moss is another one.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The one time...
Take the ball deep, the top off the defense.
And the Patriots win title after title after title. Then he comes in, they go undefeated, and it's like a given that they're going to win the Super Bowl, and boom.
And caught the touchdown and put them ahead before the Giants' offensive line decided to hold everyone, and then the refs didn't blow the whistle, and then you have Eli Manning throwing David Tyree, who had Stickum on his helmet.
You know what? 9 guys could have sacked Eli on that play, and Rodney Harrison had 1 inch to put that ball on the ground.
Be nice.
You have no one to blame but yourselves.
Be nice about Rodney. Be nice. Anyone else?
That's what I got in the NFL. In the NBA, it's, easy ones. Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Jason Kidd. Oh, no, Kidd won one. I'm sorry. Kidd won one with
the Mavericks.
Dallas. But John Stockton as well. So those are the main ones. Hockey, I don't have enough of a background in hockey to give you one there. But baseball, Mike Trout is definitely going to be one of them unless he ends up winning it somewhere. I love Ken Griffey Jr.
That's a great one.
And of course Ted Williams. The great Ted Williams never won a title because the Red Sox had that amazing long curse because they sucked and they were terrible.
See, I thought Santa just wasn't listening to me because I did say Ted Williams, but that was he just wants to just stab the knife into the Red Sox fan
I heard
back.
You say it, but that was when I wrote down because I love watching the Red Sox flounder.
Because you like to troll the Red Sox.
Yes.
The other one in the NBA, and I have another one in the MLB. Tony Gwynn, MLB.
Yeah. I was part of that I worked for the Yankees doing my vendor stuff when we swept the Padres out of that World Series. Just embarrassed him.
How many teams does Samter work? You work for the Cardinals, right?
Work for the Cardinals? I didn't work for the Yankees. I was a vendor at Yankee Stadium. So
wait. You were like throwing peanuts and Cracker Jacks out?
Mostly soda, but yes, sometimes peanuts. Mostly hot dogs and soda.
I never knew that.
The 2 least desirable items to have. When you're selling because it was rough.
So there is a vendor in the section I was in last night that sells peanuts and Cracker Jacks, and I saw him on the subway last night coming back from the game. But this vendor is very memorable because Samter, let me hear your vendor voice. If you were selling peanuts and Cracker Jacks, what would you say to get the attention of someone to try to sell peanuts and Cracker Jacks?
Peanuts, get your peanuts here. Cracker Jacks, get your Cracker Jacks.
Right? This guy all he did was,
But that works. That works. You just got to get people's attention.
I bought a bag of peanuts.
There
I
you
would have
go.
never thought to buy a bag of peanuts, and I love eating a bag of peanuts at a baseball game. But I didn't go into the stadium last night like, oh, I need to go get some peanuts. No, but that guy just and I felt compelled when I saw him on the. It was after you get off the 7 line and you get into Grand Central. It was I saw the guy. I almost just wanted to go up to him and be like, but I just was leaving the guy alone. And here's the one in the NFL. Based off Stu saying the Chargers. Because when you said the Chargers, I know you said LaDainian Tomlinson. I also think of Antonio Gates. That's not the guy. Tony Gonzalez. I loved. Like, there was some jerseys. Growing up on Long Island, there are some jerseys that had nothing to do with the Giants or the Jets that everyone would wear in high school. Ocho Cinco, right? Chad Johnson was always one, the Bengals. LaDainian Tomlinson with those powder blue Chargers jersey, that was badass. And then Tony Gonzalez with the Chiefs. Tony Gonzalez with the Chiefs was all. Those are the 3 jerseys that I remember. Where if it wasn't a Jet or a Giant jersey, or if it wasn't Zach Gelb wearing one of his like 8,000 Patriot jerseys there, you would always see kids wearing a Tony Gonzalez jersey, a LaDainian Tomlinson jersey as well. And those are some of the bigger ones. To also Ray Lewis. People love to wear Ray Lewis jerseys.
A lot of Mike Vick jerseys before.
Yeah.
But the Falcons, that black and red was so badass. And Mike Vick was the man back in the day.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Happened. Yeah.
Back in the day.
Just saying. We all know what happened. All right. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a timeout. We'll come on back. Battle Creek, Michigan. 1963. Kellogg's and Post, sworn cereal rivals, race to create a pastry that will change the face of breakfast forever. A wildly imaginative tale of ambition, betrayal, and menacing milkmen, sweetened with artificial ingredients, unfrosted stars, Jerry Seinfeld in his directorial film debut. It features a supporting cast of comedy greats, including Melissa McCarthy, Jim Gaffigan, Hugh Grant, Amy Schumer, Max Greenfield, Christian Slater, Sarah Cooper, one of the funniest people alive, Bill Burr, and many more. Tomorrow, only on Netflix. And real quickly, I will have a story about Melissa McCarthy that I saw on the internet the other day when we come on back.
You're in a 4.5-minute break. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I don't know why. I always enjoy a good Wawa sandwich. It's not like it's anything like sensational. You don't like ever walk away and you go, oh, that's a must-have. But when there's just something when you're driving down to Philadelphia and you see a Wawa, you got to make a stop and get a Wawa sandwich. Now, the problem is I'm leaving here in about 30 minutes. Do I want to stop and get a sandwich at Wawa? I have a full tank of gas, so that takes like 10 to 15 minutes away from the journey when I'm going to a game tonight where there's going to be a ton of food. Now, I was misled a little bit. I was told this ticket is going to be in a luxury box tonight. Now, when you get told, and I'm grateful either way, it's a free ticket to a big game tonight, I'm happy to just go. But when you get told you're going to a luxury box, that changed the way that I was going to eat today. Because I was like, oh, I'll pig out tonight at the game. I'll have a good protein shake in the middle of the day. You know, that will hold me over, maybe like a little bar when I leave here, and that will be good until I eat like a fat pig. Buddy texted me, not a luxury box. We're in like, I think it's like 112 or something like that, 121. So still good seats. When you get told you're going to a luxury box, I start to think, okay, I get the chicken fingers, you get the hot dogs, you get the burgers, all that stuff, you know, all the snacks that they end up providing. And that was a little disappointing now.
Was it intentionally misleading, or was it a miscommunication, or did the tickets change at some point?
The person that got me the tickets works for a law firm. And he goes, he said to me, he goes, I think these are luxury box seats. Because every time his company has got him tickets, they've been in a luxury box. I don't know if this person, though, ever has been to a playoff game with this company. You know, a luxury box for a playoff game. You're a law firm, you probably could afford it. But I don't know what their deal is and how they get their tickets. I would imagine that they have other tickets as well, and now we're in the other section. Now, maybe some people, law firm, they give them like a pass or something. We get into the luxury box. If I'm in a luxury box tonight, I think I'll be watching more of the food than actually the game. So it's actually a good thing that we're not in a luxury box. That's all. I'll spin it. But I feel like I didn't have anything at the stadium last night when I went to the Mets game. I ate. I was starving when I walked out of here. and I had to wait like 30-something minutes until the train. And I went across the street, got a rice bowl with grilled chicken, and then I had 2 cervezas at the Mets game last night. So I just had 2 beers, but I didn't eat at the stadium. So now going to another stadium tonight at Wells Fargo, I feel compelled, to say the least, to eat some stadium food. So Knicks and Sixers tonight. I will get to that game in just a second. But first, we have breaking news regarding the Bucks and Pacers.
We have breaking news on the Zach Gelb Show.
What did I tell you earlier? Never, ever, ever trust these rotten NBA injury reports. Giannis Antetokounmpo, doubtful. Damian Lillard, doubtful to play. Well, Milwaukee Bucks star Damian Lillard, with an Achilles injury, will make his triumphant return tonight for Game 6 at Indiana. That's what league sources tell NBA on TNT Bleacher Report's very own Chris Hayne. Okay, now for the reaction to that. Man, I went into tonight thinking the Pacers are going to win the game. That's what I thought. Now you get Dame back. You heard those Bucks fans chanting, Bucks in 7. Bucks in 7. And usually it's the Bucks in 6, Bucks in 6, Bucks in 6. But now I thought that, okay, they weren't going to see a 7th game eventually in Milwaukee. You get Dame back. Here's what I'll say, though. I always feel like it doesn't always happen like this, but in the NBA, we've seen times before there is a serious Achilles injury, like you tear the Achilles, you rupture the Achilles, that there's a minor injury before it. I just hope for the sake of Dame, that's not what is transpiring here. So he's coming back from having suffered an Achilles injury. He will play tonight. I give him credit. I guess there's going to be no Giannis Antetokounmpo, but they get one of their guys back tonight. You get a great performance out of Chris Middleton, maybe a little Bobby, with Bobby Portis as well, and Dame and company could lead them back to a Game 7. Now, that building is going to be rocking tonight in Indianapolis. The Fieldhouse is going to be rocking. I would if I'm betting on this game, which I'm not, so it's easier said than done, I would plus the points tonight. The Knicks and the Sixers, yesterday I did a Sports Minute, and I thought to myself, oh, we'll definitely see a Game 7. Definitely. More and more as today goes on, I start to think the Knicks are going to win, but you make me give you a prediction right now. You know how I said earlier you can't trust James Harden in a big spot? I do not know why I'm trusting the Sixers in a big spot. Maxey had that heroic performance, that miraculous performance in Game 5, where he made the 4-point play, and then he had the basically half-court shot that did go in to tie up the game. I know Maxey's going to show up tonight. This is an Embiid game tonight. It has to be. Sixers win, Embiid has to go off. And we've seen Embiid throughout the years, even though he's had these great regular seasons, and he hasn't been the biggest problem why they've lost, but he's had some crucial turnovers in these elimination games. And he was basically begging for the Knicks to win that game, Game 5 in regulation. He had 10 turnovers in regulation. And with like 90 seconds left, he threw the ball away, and it was like, uh-oh, here we go again. I know Joel Embiid is dealing with a lot right now. It's kind of crazy that he's playing. Nick Nurse cannot try to play him the entirety of the game. You have to get him some rest, and you have to meticulously plan that out. But there is no player under more pressure tonight on either team than Joel Embiid. Because this will be the first time, like the Sixers don't win tonight, Embiid is underwhelming in the game. This will be the first offseason where Joel Embiid gets some legitimate criticism from his own fan base. And I can't wait to see what the dynamic is going to be in that building tonight. And I'll be there, like I said, because those Sixers owners gobbled up 2,000 tickets to go give out to Sixers fans because they were concerned after what they did see in their 2 games at the Wells Fargo Center in Game 3 and in Game 4, where the Knicks fan invaded Philadelphia. And I would imagine there's a ton of Knicks fans in there tonight, once again, with an opportunity to avoid a Game 7 and put the New York Knicks in the second round of the NBA playoffs. So I think, I don't feel great about it, but I think the Sixers find a way to win the game tonight. So you do have Dame Lillard back for the Bucks, and we'll see what transpires between the Knicks and the Sixers. We will take a break. We will come on back. We will wrap up the show. It is a Thursday. I have 2 Zach Gelb Show PSAs mixed into one, which basically just when it's my opportunity to tell you what I'm doing, basically give you 2 PSAs, but I'll say that mix into one. So we'll get to his Zach Gelb Show PSA when we return. Update time first. Here he is, the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the Pacers have benefited from facing a Bucks team that has been without its biggest star and another that has been injured for most of this series. They host Milwaukee tonight, holding a 3-2 series lead. After failing to advance Tuesday, Tyrese Halliburton said they need to fine-tune a few things tonight.
Us as a group, we got a little stagnant, holding the ball and playing a little slower. And, when teams switch, it can kind of lull you into that. So, we got to be better there. I'll be better there. But a hell of an opportunity next game in game 6 back at home.
Both Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard are game-time decisions. The Knicks and Sixers meet in Philly, which stayed alive with a terrific comeback in Game 5, led by Tyrese Maxey, who has 46. New York, though, still has a 3-2 series lead. Speaking of New York, the Yankees fall in Baltimore today by a score of 7-2, while the Mets rally from 4 down to beat the Cubs in 11, 7-6. The Giants get a home run from Mike Yastrzemski at Fenway Park. Those two things seem to go together as they beat the Red Sox 3-1, and the Rangers blank the Nationals 6-0. Nathan Eovaldi goes 5 1/3 innings, give up just 2 hits in the shutout. Marlins top the Rockies by a score of 5-4 and 10. I'm Rich Ackerman.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. We're the Backstreet Boys, and you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God, we're back again.
All righty, now it's official. We already heard that Damian Lillard from Chris Haynes was in tonight. Adrian Wojnarowski now says that you will have Giannis Antetokounmpo out. So Dame in, Giannis Antetokounmpo out. Also, real quickly before we get to a Zach Gelb Show PSA, Kirby Smart, this was reported earlier today. He has signed a 2-year contract extension, making him the highest paid coach in college football. This contract runs through 2033. We talked about this before. He makes now $13 million a year. The face of college football to me is a fascinating conversation. So many years of a Saban. Like Kirby Smart, he keeps on winning. He'll be the face. I think the baton right now is passed to him. But I don't think Kirby Smart is polarizing. Like, I don't think people line up and be like, oh, I love Kirby Smart, I hate Kirby Smart. You know, SC country a little bit different. But I'm talking nationally right now. I don't think you fall one way or another with an intense hatred or intense love for Kirby Smart. So I'll be curious if Georgia keeps on dominating. You know how that usually goes. Then the natural hatred, a.k.a. jealousy, does end up just popping up, and it gets to a ridiculous level. But the future of college football, you always wonder who is going to be that next face with Saban out. It could have been Jim Harbaugh, but then Jim Harbaugh goes to the Los Angeles Chargers. Also, Bill Ryder, very, very annoyed with me. So all I did was I was talking about In-N-Out earlier. And I was like, oh, I had it one time. I thought it was disappointing where the hype was. So Clarence the Barber tweeted me saying, 1,000% agree on In-N-Out, most overrated place ever, surviving on brand recognition because those burgers and fries are as pedestrian as they come. So all I did was quote tweet that and said it's my most controversial food opinion. Had In-N-Out once, and I was disappointed big time. I'll try it again one day, but it wasn't worth the hype. So Bill Ryder, I don't know. When Bill comes out after me, I feel like I should call him William Ryder. I don't know why. And I love Bill. But he said, this is like someone from the West Coast saying they had pizza in New York one time, and New York pizza is overrated. It's absolutely not. That's not apples to apples. Like, there is some bad pizza in New York. There's also some great pizza in New York. Like, you go to Sbarro's, right? The best pizza. No, I'm just kidding. Like, you go to one of these 99-cent places. I'm not saying that's the great pizza. But you're just in New York, you think, oh, you go get pizza in New York, anywhere's going to be great. That's not the case. In-N-Out's a chain. Like, is the In-N-Out in Los Angeles different than the In-N-Out in, let's say, like, what are the In-N-Outs in Arizona? Like, maybe I'm off here, but I don't think that's a fair comparison by William Reiter, Santer.
I mean, you bring up a good point about chain versus going to the right pizza place. But listen, you can go to the right pizza place and have one slice of Bleecker Street or Joe's or whatever your favorite pizza place is, and it still doesn't live up to expectations. The big thing for me is like, all right, if someone tells you how great a movie is or a show is, and then you see it, and even if you liked it and it doesn't live up to expectations, you feel disappointed. If you walked into In-N-Out saying, oh, everyone tells you this is the best fast food burger out there, and then you tried it and you liked it, but it wasn't living up to what you expected it to be, you're going to, in your mind, be disappointed. So I think you need to go back into In-N-Out once or twice more with the understanding, like, you know what? Maybe it's not what everyone says it is, but let me try with like a clean
I have
slate.
an open mind.
Yeah, let me go try with an open slate, with a clean mind, without the expectations, and just try it for appreciating what it is.
So here's my biggest problem. I didn't think the burger was all that spectacular. And I get it's a fast food burger. And the fries. Fries to me have to be well done. Fries to me have to be crispy. Those fries were, like kind of undercooked. They weren't that good.
Well, so part of it with the In-N-Out fries is they're a little bit thicker. They're not waffle fries, but they're thicker.
I don't need a waffle fry.
No, so but McDonald's has like that really thin,
Great
crispy fry. Right, but it's really thin.
Mm-hmm.
These are thicker. And so if you're going to get a really crispy,
I love
thick
the same
fry.
food knowledge, by the way.
Listen, I love In-N-Out, and I love watching. They literally take a potato, put it in the machine, it cuts down, they wash it with water, then they throw it right into the fryer. Like immediately, it's as fresh as you can get, but they're thicker. And if you want a really crispy, thick fry, you're going to have to overcook it a little bit. It's going to take away some of the flavor and some of the, the word I don't like to use, but that word.
Moistness?
That word. It's going to take some of that away if you overdo a thick fry. Now, if you overdo a thin, tiny, crappy McDonald's fry, you're not going to lose anything because it's going to be thin no matter what.
Now, I will say, I just looked at a picture of In-N-Out Burger to refresh my memory. The pictures look really damn good. The burger looks really damn good, but when I had it, I was like, And my dad loves trying new food. My dad is a huge foodie, and he could be a tough critic. But he said the same thing. He said it kind of tasted like a glorified McDonald's. Seriously. That's what we both thought when we had In-N-Out. So it wasn't just me. It wasn't just me being a wackadoo. It was also my father.
It must be a Gelb trait thing. Something's wrong with your taste buds.
No. We have great taste buds, please. What are you doing here? Come on. All righty. Let's get to a Zach Gelb Show PSA.
It's a Thursday. What do you have to say? It's the weekly Zach Gelb Show PSA.
Who's with me? Let's go! Come on!
So I had a guy tweet me today. When are you going to talk about the Pirates and how bad they are? I don't like people that think they know how to program radio shows, national radio shows, giving us suggestions. I'm always an open suggestion box, but that doesn't mean that every suggestion is great. But why would anyone give a rat's ass in a listening audience about the Pittsburgh Pirates? So that's number one. Don't give a bad suggestion. Number two, at the rental car place today, got last-second tickets going to see the Sixers up against the Knicks tonight in South Philadelphia. At the rental car place, which I've been to many times, right adjacent to my apartment. I don't have a car in NYC. Guy looks at me. He goes, "Oh, you've been in here a bunch. I remember seeing you, blah, blah, blah." He goes, "By the way, bad job out of you." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Don't ever buy the toll pass online and don't ever buy the insurance online. Come into the store and we could give you a great deal." So I'm like, "Oh, can you give me that deal right now?" He's like, "Nah, I can't do it." What's up with these car rental places? They always try to tell you that they'll give you a good deal. They never give you a good deal. And also, to say that as a customer service rep oh, I can get you a good deal next time. Don't buy it online. And then I go, well, how much would I would have saved? I asked him that. He goes, oh, I can't tell you that. What the heck are we doing? Don't tell me when I already made the purchase that you could have got me a better deal. So my PSA today, don't make bad suggestions. Don't tell me I could have got a deal after I already agreed to rent something. Santa, what do we got cooking?
Well, I was going to go with the fair weather fan coming out of the woodwork, and I've seen it so much this week here in New York. People who probably haven't watched or cared about the Knicks in decades are finally, they're wearing these Brunson jerseys and their old John Starks jerseys. The whole city is ablaze with Knicks everything. I was going to go with that as my PSA. Just, go back into the shed and, get off the bandwagon. But you brought up this thing with In-N-Out. What drives me crazy is people who knock other people's love of their own food, right? Like,
I didn't knock anyone. I just said I didn't like it.
Exactly. I'm not like a Chicago pizza type of fan, right? I don't love Chicago-style deep dish pizza, but I respect those who do. It's different. Love what you love. Mm-hmm. If you go down south, you're not a big barbecue fan or whatever. Just love what you love, love what works for you, and don't let anyone else tell you. When you come into someone else's home and tell them that the way they cook or the way they make something that they love is not the way that it should be done, go bleep yourself and get out of my face.
Whoa! Wow. Angry little fella today.
I'm always angry.
Steve Tannen.
I'm like the Hulk.
Who lived in New Jersey, now has worked in Eugene, Oregon for a long time. He said, responding to William Ryder's tweet bashing me, for Zach Gelb as well, as someone who has lived 3 decades on both coasts, A, Jersey has the best pizza and it's not close. B, In-N-Out is beyond overrated. It's the Ben Simmons of burger joints, according to Steve Tannen. I responded, Jersey does have great pizza. I think Jersey pizza is great. I love Jersey pizza. New Haven pizza, though, is tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. Pizza. All righty, Stu, what do you got?
All right, my PSA is to never believe in the Clippers. As we talked about in the beginning of this hour, another choke job. Kawhi always hurt. Paul George, Harden, Westbrook, all of them, they never come up in the big spot. There were some people that thought going into the season that they would be a true contender, a team that can make a run, but, I mean, I never bought it, and I think you'd be kind of silly to buy it from that quadruple of those guys. That's just, PSA, don't ever believe in the Clippers.
What would have to happen, just wondering, Stu, for you to one day root for the Clippers? I'm not like saying be a fan. Like, is there any other team in the NBA that, let's say the Lakers are out, because of your love for the Lakers, you would say, okay, I'm going to root for the Clippers instead of seeing that other team?
I mean, I guess against the Celtics, I would have to.
So we see
if
an
it's
NBA
Clippers
Finals.
Celtics, I'd root for the Clippers. Yes,
you would.
I would. Yes.
Even though you didn't grow up, I know that the Celtics and the Lakers played twice in the finals in your lifetime, but the greatness of that rivalry didn't really occur in your lifetime. No. You still though have the animosity for the Celtics.
I do. Yes.
Is that also because you're a Yankee fan? Classic Laker Yankee fan who just root for the Cowboys. No, he's a Raider fan. Is that also because just maybe the hatred for Boston that you may have?
No.
A little bit? No,
I don't dislike the city of Boston. I just don't like those two teams.
Gotcha.
I don't have a problem with the Patriots.
You don't? Right.
Well, other than the Tuck rule, but that wasn't really their fault. That was more the refs.
It wasn't a fumble. No.
Nah.
Good call by Walt Anderson. Love me some Walt Anderson. It's never a good thing when you know the name of the ref. All righty, that is a Zach Gelb Show PSA. Always love when we do that each and every Thursday. We will be back mañana. We will recap the 2 NBA games, of course, talk a bunch about the pucks, and we'll tie some things together, obviously, in the NFL world as well. You can follow me Instagram. Make sure you get me on Twitter. I will make sure to put some content out tonight in Philadelphia, where I don't have a dog in the fight, and I'm just there as a big-time basketball fan, a big-time sports fan, watching the New York Knicks do battle up against the Philadelphia 76ers, what I think is going to be a crazy environment. We'll see if Jalen Brunson had disappointing overtime, but a great other part of Game 5. If he bounces back in Game 6, will Joel Embiid have a pulse and actually have a clutch moment, or will he need Tyrese Maxey to bail him out once again to try to force a Game 7. Big thanks to each and every one of you. Big thanks to Stuart Kovacs. Big thanks to Moist Mike. We will talk mañana, everybody, at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.